The 7 Words. Chapter 1. The Message. It always begins with a sound, not a scream, not a shout, not even a voice, not at first, just a tone, low, off-pitch, like something trying to become a whisper, but forgetting how human throats are supposed to work. Sometimes it's a hum from the bathroom pipes. Other times a muffled buzz through the phone when you're alone at night, but always, it's there before everything else. The sound that means something is listening, and something has chosen you. Tokyo, October 8th. The rain had been falling for 3 straight days. Not a storm, not a downpour, just a constant steady drizzle, soaking the streets of Shibuya in a chill that got into your bones. The sky, blanketed in flat grey, hadn't shifted since Monday. It was now Friday, and the streetlights seemed to come on earlier with each passing day, as if even the city itself was growing afraid of the dark. In a tucked-away cafe down a narrow alley, where condensation fogged up the windows and the sound of espresso machines hissed like distant whispers, 2 high school girls sat near the back, headphones tangled on the table, notebooks sprawled between half-finished matcha lattes. One of them was Emiko Tanaka, 17, exceptionally sharp, archery team captain, National Math Olympiad finalist. Her uniform was pressed, her handwriting pristine. Her future was laid out with surgical precision: Tokyo University, economics, then corporate strategy at a multinational firm. She never jaywalked, never failed a test. She lived with methodical control. The other was Reina Kobayashi, 17. Same school, different trajectory, more arts than academics. Her notebooks were filled with sketches, her lattes spiced with cinnamon, and always half-drunk. Reina lived more in the moment, but she loved Emiko like a sister, had since junior high. They were studying for midterms that night, though Reina had done more doodling than reading. Emiko was halfway through an explanation about supply-side economics when her phone buzzed. She paused, pulled the phone out of her blazer pocket. It hadn't rung. No messages, just a notification. 1 new voicemail. Who leaves voicemails anymore? Reina mumbled, half laughing. Emiko didn't answer. She stared at the screen. The number wasn't familiar. In fact, it wasn't even a number, just a string of symbols, plus 181. She hesitated, then tapped play. The audio began. Reina leaned in to listen. Nothing, then static. Then Emiko's face shifted, not dramatically, just slightly, like something inside her pulled taut. 7 seconds later, the message ended. Reina blinked. What the hell was that? Emiko didn't say anything for a moment. Then she smiled. Small, distant. Probably spam, she said. Creepy glitch or something. She slid her phone face down and went back to highlighting a sentence in her textbook, but her hand trembled slightly, just enough that Reina noticed she didn't mention it. She should have. 3 days later, 11:43 p.m. Emiko was found dead in her room. She was sitting upright in the corner, back pressed to the wall, eyes wide open, mouth parted as if she had been whispering something to herself. There were no signs of violence, no evidence of trauma. Her phone was in her hand, unlocked. The screen still displayed the voicemail playback bar. No new messages, no missed calls. Just that same weird number. Her mother discovered her. She screamed so loud the neighbors heard. The paramedics arrived first, then the police, then the whispers. Suicide, seizure, panic attack. None of it made sense. The autopsy said cardiac arrest, but the heart was healthy. No drugs in her system, no internal bleeding, no sign of psychological instability. Just a look of, what did they say? Recognition. Like she'd seen something, like she'd known exactly what it was. Her older sister, now Tanaka, was the one who handled the arrangements. 26, journalist, lived in Meguro, hadn't spoken to Emiko in 2 weeks, mostly due to work. They drifted a little since Now moved to Tokyo, but Emiko was the one who texted first, always, until she didn't. The last message Now got from her was 3 days before the death. If something weird happens, don't answer unknown numbers. Just don't. At the time, Now thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Now stood in Emiko's bedroom the morning after the funeral. It still smelled faintly of lavender. Her sister's scent. Her presence. The bed was neatly made, untouched since the body had been taken. Drawings Emiko had made as a child still hung on the bulletin board. The sun cut through the grey clouds, just enough to cast a beam of light on her desk, where her phone still rested. Nao picked it up. The voicemail history was wiped. No call logs, no saved audio, just an empty record. She frowned. Did the police erase it? Or did someone else? Or did something? The number, though, was burned into the screen, etched into memory, plus 181. Now tapped it. No connection. No ring, just static. Then the call dropped. But a second later, her own phone buzzed. A new voicemail. From her own number. And a single message. I'm here now. Say it back. Now didn't sleep that night. She sat on her couch, wrapped in a hoodie, the light from the television flickering against the walls as if trying to keep the dark at bay. She didn't watch. She couldn't. Her eyes were fixed on her phone, replaying the message over and over. The voice wasn't Emiko's, and it wasn't a stranger's either. It was something in between. A voice that seemed to shift subtly each time she listened. Male, female, childlike, ancient. It moved like a memory, always just out of reach, just beyond recognition. She turned the sound off and played it again. She could still feel it. As if it wasn't a sound at all, but a presence. By sunrise, Now was a shadow of herself. She hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. The voicemail repeated in her head even when the phone was off. She knew it was irrational. She knew fear was supposed to fade with logic. But this fear had teeth. At 8:12 a.m., she called her tech contact, Kenji Toma, a sound engineer she had met during a podcast project last year. Kenji specialized in audio forensics. "Can you clean something up for me?" she asked. He agreed, albeit reluctantly. "Is it for a case?" "It's personal." Now emailed him the voicemail. 20 minutes. Later he called back. "Where did you get this?" he asked, voice lower than usual. "My sister got it before she died." Kenji didn't respond immediately. Then, "There's something on the frequency band I can't explain. It's not just voice. There's feedback at subharmonic levels, like a signal loop, but it's modulating in real time. In English, it's reacting, like it's listening while it's playing." Now froze. "And there's more," Kenji continued. "At exactly the 3:17-second mark, right before it says 'say it back,' you can hear your name." "No, that's not possible." "It's there." Whispered. Very faint. Nao's stomach turned. Kenji offered to keep analyzing it. "I'll run it through spectral analysis. There's something weird with the waveform. I'll call you tonight." He never did. At 10:41 p.m., Kenji's neighbor called the police after hearing screaming from his apartment. Kenji was found collapsed near his audio workstation. The walls were lined with printed spectrograms, some of them torn or half-burned. His headphones were melted, and on his monitor, a paused waveform, shaped in 7 peaks, each labeled with a word. The last one said, "back." The audio had stopped looping because the last listener was now part of the message. Now didn't attend his funeral. She couldn't. Because the day after his death, she started hearing it without the phone. In the sound of the kettle boiling. In the static before her morning news app loaded. In the silence between subway announcements. She'd close her eyes and hear the voice say, "I'm here now." Sometimes it added something new. "Just say it. You heard it too." "I waited for her. Now I'm waiting for you." Nayo began to notice other things, little things. The lamp in her living room would flicker every time she walked past it with the voicemail open. Her cat, Miko, began hissing at corners of the apartment. Her laptop camera light would blink when no app was running. It was as if the voice had slipped from the phone and crawled into the space between signals, between thoughts. She told herself she was being paranoid, sleep-deprived, grief-ridden. But deep down, she knew something had crossed over, and it wanted her attention. 2 nights after Kenji's death, Nao received a package. There was no return address, just her name written in ballpoint pen across the label. Neat, deliberate, no postage. Inside, a single item, a burner phone, black, old model. No SIM card. When she pressed the power button, it lit up instantly. 1 voicemail, timestamp 3:17 a.m. She didn't play it right away. Instead, she turned on every light in the apartment, locked the windows, unplugged her smart speaker, and sat, cross-legged on the floor, phone in hand, breath shallow. Her thumb hovered over the play button. Then she pressed it. 7 seconds, same voice, same words. I'm here now. Say it back. But this time, after the message ended, the screen didn't return to idle. It stayed black. Text began appearing across the screen, as if someone were typing in real time. Why won't you say it? She said it. She saw what comes next. Don't you want to see? Now dropped the phone. It slid across the floor. From the kitchen, her electric kettle clicked on. She hadn't touched it. From the hallway, the bathroom door creaked open, slow, deliberate. Miko let out a low growl and ran under the couch. Now stared at the dark hallway, and that's when she heard it, her own voice, from the burner phone speaker. I'm here now. Her blood froze. She didn't sleep again that night. Instead, she sat in the bathtub, curtain open, door locked, every light in the apartment on. She kept the burner phone in the sink beside her. It stayed black. But once every hour, on the dot, the speaker let out a pulse. Not a tone, not a voice, just a pulse, like a sonar ping, low and full of pressure. She felt it more than heard it. Each time it came with a flicker of the lights. By 5 a.m. she unplugged everything. Router, TV, microwave, everything. Still, the pulses continued. She wrapped the burner phone in 2 layers of foil, placed it in a metal box, and locked it in her closet. The pulses stopped, but the silence wasn't comfort. It felt watched. She returned to Emiko's school later that day. She told the administration she was collecting items for the family. In truth, she was looking for answers. Inside Emiko's locker, behind her textbooks, was a journal. Small, spiral-bound. No name on the front. The first few pages were ordinary. Then she found an entry dated the day after the voicemail. It said something new last night. Not just the words. It asked a question. It said, "Do you remember the house?" I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't think I remembered. But when I closed my eyes, I saw a gate. Old, rusted. A forest behind it. It felt like something I forgot on purpose. I think I've been there. Now reread it 3 times. She had never heard Emiko mention a house near a forest. She flipped further. I think it's waiting there. It's where the message came from, or maybe it's where it ends. I don't want to go, but I think it wants me to. The last page was torn out. Now ran her hand over the jagged edge, and at that moment her own phone buzzed. New voicemail from her number again. She didn't press play. She didn't have to. Because in the silence of the empty hallway she heard it play anyway. Do you remember the house? Now didn't remember the house, not consciously, not fully. But when she closed her eyes that night, trying to sleep for the first time in days, she saw something. A gate, exactly like the one Emiko described. Rusted metal bars, twisted slightly at the center, with a tattered piece of blue ribbon tied to the side. There were trees, tall, skeletal trees that pressed together like gossiping old men. The wind blew through them with a sound like teeth chattering. Beyond the gate was a path, moss-covered, damp, leading to something hidden in the forest fog. She woke up, gasping, not from fear, from recognition. She had been there, not as an adult, as a child. The next morning, she visited her parents. It had been over a year since she last stepped inside the old house in Unnervingly. Her mother greeted her with hesitant warmth. Her father didn't say much beyond the usual muttered hello. But when she brought up the forest, their faces changed. Her mother's hands stilled over the teacup. Her father's gaze shifted to the floor. "Do you remember taking me somewhere when I was little?" Now asked. "A house in the woods." Her mother looked like she might lie, but didn't. "You were 5, she said. "It was your uncle's place. He had a cabin outside, the city remote, no power. We only went twice, once when you were a baby, once more briefly." "Why briefly?" Her father finally spoke. "Because you got sick, started speaking in your sleep, said things we couldn't understand. You woke up screaming the same words, over and over again." "What words?" They hesitated, then in unison, "I'm here now. Say it back." Nao's cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. That evening she searched the attic. Her parents' attic hadn't changed in decades. Dust coated the old boxes stacked like tombstones. Now pulled out the ones labeled Now 1999X and opened them one by one. Old drawings, school crafts, a broken music box, and then a Polaroid photo. 3 people. A woman, a man, and a young girl, herself. They stood in front of the gate. It was unmistakable. The blue ribbon still fluttered in the wind. Behind them, the trees reached upward like skeletal hands. On the back of the photo, in faint ink, Tanaka Cabin, Mount Mikami, October 1999. She'd found it, and she remembered more now. Not scenes, not stories, but a sound, a voice, whispering to her through the vents at night, from the walls, from the phone, long before she ever owned one. The voice that taught her a sentence she forgot until it was too late. "I'm here now. Say it back." She left for Mount Mikami. The next morning, the forest roads were narrower than she remembered. The deeper she drove, the worse reception got. Her phone lost signal 20 minutes before she even reached the access trail. The sun was beginning to fall behind the trees. She parked by a weathered trail marker and hiked the rest on foot. Dead leaves crunched beneath her boots. Wind hissed through the branches, and then she saw it. The gate, still rusted, still bent, still holding the same faded ribbon. Beyond it, the path wound into the fog, and at the end of it, barely visible, stood the cabin, old, silent, waiting. The door creaked as she pushed it open. The cabin smelled of rot and long-forgotten memories, damp wood, decaying fabric, and something else, something like burned wires or hair. Dust hung in the air, thick and unmoving, disturbed only by her breath. Inside, everything was preserved in decay. A chair still stood at the center of the room. A small table held a cracked porcelain teacup. Mold crawled up the wallpaper, splitting it in crooked lines like veins. On the far wall, a landline phone was mounted, yellowed, dead. But as she stepped inside, it rang, once, then silence. No dial tone, no cord even connecting it to the wall. Now stared at it. She didn't touch it. She crossed the room to the fireplace. Above it was a mirror, warped and blackened by time. Her reflection barely registered, a shadow with eyes. Then something behind her moved. She spun around. Nothing. Only the phone. Still silent, still watching. The cabin had a small loft. She climbed the stairs slowly, flashlight in hand. Each creak of the steps echoed louder than it should have. At the top, a child's bedroom, dusty toys, A rusted bed frame, a journal, warped by moisture, lay open on the floor. She picked it up. The handwriting was childish, looping. The pages were mostly drawings, some houses, some trees, and then page after page of mouths, open mouths, all whispering. At the bottom of the last page, it lives in the message. It learns your name. It speaks with your voice. And when you say it back, it takes something. Nao closed the journal. Suddenly the phone downstairs rang again. This time she answered it. Her hand shook as she lifted the receiver. No dial tone, just breath. Long, slow, not hers. Then a whisper. I missed you. Nao's throat went dry. Who are you? She whispered. You said it once. The voice cracked like wet wood splitting. You were the first. You brought me through. I don't remember, but I do. And now she does too. Nao froze. Emiko? No answer. Just more breath. Louder now. Closer. Nao dropped the receiver. It clattered against the wall, then hung from the base, swinging gently. She stumbled back. The mirror over the fireplace was no longer black. It showed her reflection. And standing behind her, a shape, pale, long-limbed, its mouth impossibly wide. It whispered with her voice, I'm here now. Say it back. Nao turned. Nothing was there. Only the journal, now open to a page that hadn't been visible before. Final sentence, scrawled in ink that looked disturbingly fresh. You have 7 days. Chapter 2. The call that came at 3:17, day 1. Nao didn't sleep, couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the mirror. Not the reflection, the shape behind it. Mouth wide, waiting. She sat on her apartment floor with every light on. The journal from the cabin lay beside her. Her phone was in airplane mode. She had sealed the burner phone in a metal toolbox, wrapped in foil, then shoved it in her building's basement storage. Still, she heard the whisper. Faint. Always faint, like breath fogging up the edges of her mind. Say it back. You remember? 7 days. It was never loud, never direct. It didn't need to be. It was inside her now. She opened her laptop, tried to type a message to Reina. Stopped. What would she say? Hey, Emiko got a haunted voicemail and now I'm cursed. She deleted the draft. She opened her notes and wrote one sentence instead. If I die, don't play any message from me. Then she emailed it to herself and set it to auto-forward to Reina in 7 days, unless she stopped it first. Day 2. The world outside looked normal, bright, rushing, full of noise and life. But Nao walked through it like a shadow. She avoided calls, checked her voicemail every hour to make sure nothing new appeared. She switched phones twice. Still, every device she touched eventually got the same notification. New voicemail. No missed call, no number, just the message. She stopped listening, but it didn't matter. Once, while walking past a man playing a traditional shamisen near Ueno Park, she heard it. The words, played in reverse, buried in the chords. I'm here now. She froze, looked around. Everyone kept walking, smiling, laughing, breathing, like the world wasn't cracking beneath their feet. She went to the only person who might believe her. Not a priest, not a psychic, a librarian. Day 3. The Tokyo Metropolitan Library in Minato Ward didn't open until 10 a.m. But Nao was already there by 9:30, standing by the doors with a coffee cup she hadn't touched. She wasn't sure why she thought of Junko Suda. Maybe because she had once helped her with an article on obscure folklore. Or maybe because Junko never dismissed her curiosity, even when it was about cursed woodblocks or whispered yokai legends. When Junko arrived, she was surprised to see her. Now, she said, blinking. Wow, I haven't seen you in... I need your help, Nao said. Her voice sounded foreign to her own ears. It's about a voice, a message. Junko's smile faltered, but she didn't laugh. She simply nodded. Come in. Inside the archives now explained everything. She left nothing out. By the time she finished, Junko was silent. She tapped her fingers against a thick book spine, lost in thought. I've heard something like this before, Junko finally said. It was years ago. A man came to the university where I was doing my postgrad. He claimed he received a message that changed when it was played near certain shrines. Now leaned forward. What happened to him? He disappeared. Did he say what the message wanted? Junko hesitated. He said it was waiting for someone to say the words willingly, to give permission. That's when it could move freely. Move? From one to another. Through voice, recording, memory, even thought. If enough people believe in it, it spreads like a virus. Now swallowed hard, Junko stood and began pulling old volumes from the shelf. Let me show you something. She opened a case file from the 1970s, the headline, Whispers from the Static. 14 teens dead after receiving phone calls from nowhere. Now stared. The case had occurred in a rural prefecture. The only thing the victims had in common was that each one died within 7 days of receiving an audio message with no return number. The message, redacted, but in the notes margin, handwritten, pattern, 7 words. Day 4. Junko brought her a dusty audio. Real. I probably shouldn't be showing you this. It was locked under folklore and anomalies, but it's the only surviving copy. Now didn't ask how she got it. They transferred the reel to a digital file using an old player in the basement. Junko pressed play. At first, crackling static. Then, a low hum. And finally, a voice. I'm here now, say it back. Nao's breath caught. Junko paused the audio. It's the same message, she said. Exactly? No, listen to this. She played it again, but the voice had changed. This time, it said she's listening. She remembers. She's near. Nao's mouth went dry. You heard that too? She asked. Junko nodded slowly. It changed. Because of you. A light flickered in the corner of the archive. Junko reached over and shut off the player. They stared at each other. Neither spoke because somewhere in the silence, a phone began ringing and neither of them had brought one down. Day 5, Junko had insisted they each go home separately. If it's drawn to proximity, she said, we might feed it faster together. Now didn't argue. She was too exhausted, but when she got home that night, something was waiting. Her apartment was cold. Not from the weather, not from any draft, from something old. Miko, her cat, was gone. The windows were locked. No sign of a break-in, only a single message scrawled in fog across the bathroom mirror. I'm here now. She didn't scream. She couldn't. The power cut out. Her phone lit up. New voicemail. This time, the timestamp read exactly 3:17 a.m. Even though it was only 10:42 p.m., she played it. A child's voice, Emiko's voice. You found it. The cabin, the mirror. But you didn't say it back. You still have time. He's watching. Now covered her mouth with both hands, dropping the phone. It hit the floor but didn't stop playing. Say it now, please. I'm cold. Say it back. The call ended. She didn't sleep that night. At 3:17 a.m., the lights turned on by themselves, and every screen in her apartment lit up with the same phrase, say it back. Day 6 now met Junko at a shrine on the outskirts of the city, one that predated Tokyo itself. Stone steps led up into thick woods. Old lanterns lined the path, unlit but not abandoned. This place is older than most of the spirits people talk about, Junko said, holding a bundle of old ofuda, paper talismans used for warding off curses. Do you really think this will work? Nao asked. Junko didn't answer. At the top of the hill, the shrine stood squat and quiet. Inside, the scent of incense clung to the air. Now set the phone on the wooden altar. Junko stepped back, whispering a chant she said was older than Shinto. The phone vibrated once, twice, then again, and again. Nao reached forward. The screen lit up. A message appeared, one word at a time. You can't lock me out. You brought me in. You remembered. That was the invitation. Now say it. The talismans around the phone caught fire. Real fire. Nao screamed and grabbed Junko, pulling her away as the altar erupted into flames. By the time the shrine attendants arrived, the fire was gone. The wood unburned. But the phone was missing. Day 7. Nao didn't wake up screaming. She didn't wake up crying. She just opened her eyes to darkness and the sound of static humming from every device in her apartment. Her laptop had turned itself on, her television too, her radio, all playing the same low hiss, and under that static, the voice. It no longer asked, it no longer whispered, it spoke. Today is the day. You let me in. Now you'll carry me forward. Nao stood. Her limbs were heavy, her thoughts clouded, but one thing pulsed clearly in her mind. Don't say it. She packed a bag, left everything else behind, took only the journal, the burned talisman scraps, and the printed transcript from the message Kenji had decoded. She didn't call anyone, didn't write a note. She didn't want it following them too. She took the first train to the outskirts of the city, then another bus to a rural prefecture. The last stop left her at the edge of a forgotten cemetery. There, at the foot of a stone, altar marked only with moss and a single word, B0, to close, she buried everything. She placed the burner phone atop the bundle and she whispered, I won't say it. A wind kicked up around her, cold, furious, but it passed and the static stopped. Back in Tokyo, her voicemail cleared, her screens went black, and Emiko's voice never returned until the next person listened. At 3:17 a.m., Chapter 3, Echoes in Static, Tokyo. 3 weeks later, the city had moved on, as it always does. The rain returned. Neon signs flickered like memories refusing to die. People walked quickly, umbrellas colliding, eyes lowered, always forward, and somewhere beneath the noise, beneath the signal, a new phone buzzed. Sao a.m. It sat on a nightstand in a cramped apartment on the 18th floor of a building in Nakano. The room belonged to Kaito Mizuno, 21, a dropout turned gig worker who delivered food by day and hunted strange podcasts by night. He didn't believe in curses. He believed in algorithms, in patterns, in anomalies. And when the voicemail appeared, no missed call, no number, just a message. He did what any curious mind would do. He pressed play. The voice was glitchy, grainy, but clear. I'm here now, say it back. Kaito blinked. He replayed it, slowed it down, ran it through an audio filter app, tried reversing it. Nothing changed, no metadata, no trace. Just a 7-second clip from nowhere. He posted about it on a forum for paranormal audio hunters. Most laughed it off. A few said they'd heard it too. One user DM'd him directly. Delete it. If you played it, you only have 7 days. Kaito replied, very funny. Got any proof? The user didn't respond. He forgot about it for a few hours, until the lights flickered and the screens in his apartment flashed a single word. Back. The next day, Kaito's phone started glitching. Apps opened on their own. Music played in reverse. His delivery app rerouted him to places that didn't exist. He restarted it 3 times, switched to an old phone. Same result. Then came the photos. In his gallery, dozens of new images, all black except for faint outlines, faces, mouths open. Mid-whisper, his reflection on his phone screen didn't move with him. Blinked out of sync. He posted again to the forum. Okay. Not funny. Someone hacked. Me? Someone replied. It's not a hack. It's already inside. Kaito started recording everything. He set up 3 phones, 2 webcams, and a mic rigged to capture low frequencies. And at exactly 3:17 a.m. the next night, the mic picked up a whisper, his own voice. "I'm here now." Kaito didn't remember saying it. But the recording didn't lie. He was becoming part of the message. Day 3. Kaito stopped delivering food. He didn't trust the directions anymore. Twice the app led him to construction sites. Once to a dark alley where every street lamp flickered when he walked beneath it. A cat bolted from behind a trash bin and hissed like it recognized him. He deleted the apps, but they reinstalled themselves. That night, he dreamed of wires growing from his mouth. He stood in a black room with no walls and whispered the message over and over. When he woke up, his phone was recording. The file name, backdmp3, he hit play. "I'm here now. I'm here now. I'm here now." His voice, repeating, looping, until, "Say it back." But the last voice wasn't his. It was deeper, older, inhuman. Kaito sat in the dark, deleting every device. And outside, in the hallway, his neighbor's doorbell rang. No one was there, only a phone. Buzzing. AM Day 4. Kaito made a map. Every place the curse had touched, according to forum posts, deleted threads, and archived paranormal blogs, he marked in red. A surprising number clustered in Tokyo, but there were others. Osaka, Fukuoka, Sapporo, even one near Onomichi. He didn't know what he was looking for, but the pattern pulsed with intent, as if the curse had a path, as if it was migrating. That night, he ran a live stream. Title: "What happens at 3:17 a.m. You won't believe this." He explained the voicemail, the phenomena, the voices. He played the message live. "Just listen," he said. "You tell me if it's fake." Thousands watched, and then the stream glitched. The screen flashed black, then static, then Kaito's face, blurry, eyes wide. The feed cut, his last words before it went dead. "It's not in the phone anymore. It's in us." Day 5. No one could reach Kaito, not his forum friends, not his neighbors. The apartment door was locked from the inside. Delivery flyers piled beneath the threshold. His bike hadn't moved in 2 days. A maintenance worker. Entered with the landlord's key. The lights were out. The apartment was cold. The phones were gone. The only thing left was the laptop. Screen frozen on the word "back." And a new voicemail blinking on the maintenance worker's own phone, received at 3:17 a.m. Elsewhere across Tokyo, dozens more got it. Same message, same voice, same invitation. "I'm here now, say it back." And some of them did. They said it out, loud, and something listened, and something answered. The curse was no longer confined. It was evolving, not passed from a single message, but from echoes, whispers inside media, fragments tucked into music files, hidden in live feeds, buried beneath comments in forums long since archived. Everywhere it touched, it left a piece of itself, until one day, it wouldn't need a message at all. It would just be heard. Chapter 4. Dead Zone. Day 1. Kyoto. The mountains loomed darker than usual. Rika Aso, 29, never believed in curses. As a network technician for one of Japan's largest telecom providers, she only believed in failure points, frequency bandwidth, and dead zones, and that's exactly what brought her to the village of Mizukane, a place that, on paper, didn't exist. No coverage, no data, no satellite response. A perfect black hole of signal, but last week, someone reported receiving a voicemail from inside it. Timestamp, 3:17 a.m., no number, 7 seconds. Rika was sent to investigate. She came with gear, a parabolic dish, a spectrum analyzer, 4 sealed battery packs, and a satellite phone with a military-grade encryption SIM. She expected silence. Instead, she found a village with no people, no cars, no animals, and every home she entered had one thing in common: a phone still plugged into the wall, and each phone had one message: "I'm here now. Say it back." Day 2, 6/11. She set up camp in the old schoolhouse. It was the only structure not completely overtaken by vines or rot. Dust layered everything like skin. Her equipment picked up nothing. No cellular frequencies, no radio waves, not even electromagnetic radiation. It was like standing in a place unplugged from reality. Yet the phones still rang, always at 3:17 a.m. She logged every detail: number of rings, 1, length of message, 7 seconds, frequency, daily. She never answered, never played it. Not yet. She had rules: observe, record, report. But curiosity was growing, coiling tight inside her. That afternoon, she explored the village center. In the community hall, she found the emergency broadcast radio system, still connected, still powered. There was a recent recording on the archive drive, one that hadn't been logged. She played it. "Please, someone come." We didn't say it. We didn't answer. But it came anyway. It doesn't need the words. Not anymore. It's in the static, in the empty spaces. It speaks when the world goes quiet. The voice cracked at the end. Male, desperate, then silence. Then, "I'm here now." Rika stopped the recording. Her satellite phone buzzed. In her bag, one new voicemail. Timestamp, 3:17 a.m. She stared at it for a long time and didn't press play. Day 3, 12:02 p.m. She made the decision just after noon. If the message was going to come regardless, she needed to understand it. Deconstruct it, trace its signature, maybe even find where it was broadcasting from. She set up a playback booth inside the school's old AV closet, soundproofed with foam from broken desks and storage mats. Hooked the phone to an external recorder, set 5 different recorders to capture simultaneous frequencies. When she pressed play, she expected a whisper. Instead, she heard her own voice. "I'm here now. Say it back." It was undeniably her. Same cadence, same breath. But she'd never recorded those words. She didn't even realize she had dropped the recorder until she watched her own lips move in the mirror, mouthing the final word. Day 4, 3:17 a.m. She didn't sleep. She waited. Every device turned off. She sat in the school's main hallway with the recorder in her lap. The light from her lantern flickered. Once, twice. Then the static returned, not from the phone, from everything, from the walls, from the wires under the floor, from her own breath. She heard the voice, not in her ear, but inside her chest. "You," said it. "Now I'm here." She stumbled to the chalkboard and scrawled a warning. Her hands moved without command. "Do not speak the 7th word." Behind her, all the school phones rang at once, and then stopped. Day 5, 7:03 p.m. Rika was packing up. Her mind told her to leave, but the air around her seemed to thicken with each step closer to the edge of the village. It didn't want her to go. The satellite phone, disconnected and buried under lead wrap, still buzzed. She didn't check it. Instead, she opened her laptop and reviewed the spectral data from the last recording. 7 spikes, 7 words, and behind them, a shadow frequency, one she hadn't seen before. It pulsed like breath, like a heartbeat. She triangulated the source. It pointed not to a cell tower or relay, but to the old well at the edge of town. She hadn't noticed it before. She should have. But now, it felt like it had always been there. Waiting. Day 6, 5:41 p.m. She reached the well at dusk. It stood beneath a thicket of trees, overgrown and swallowed by shadow. The stones were smooth, worn from time and weather, but intact. A crumbling wooden cover rested on top, broken in half as if something had once pushed out from within. The air around it was colder, not temperature, not wind. Stillness. Rika knelt beside the well, placed the dish antenna against the rim, and activated the analyzer. It pinged immediately. The signal was alive, bouncing back in loops, mimicking itself over and over like it was learning how to speak. She connected her recorder and let it run. Within moments, the waveforms started forming shapes, faces, 7 of them, each flickering in and out, mouths agape. She began to hear the words, not from the speakers but deep in the back of her skull. Say it. Complete it. Set me free. She yanked the plug, stumbled back and dropped the recorder. The well let out a long, low breath. Or maybe it wasn't the well. Maybe it was something beneath it, something that had been buried by silence. Day 6, 11:59 p.m. As she wrote a final entry in her field journal. The signal is not from this world. It mimics, it replicates, and it waits. It doesn't need transmission towers. It doesn't need hardware. It just needs memory. If someone hears it and speaks the 7th word, we won't be able to contain it. She underlined the next words. Silence is the only firewall. Then she buried the equipment. She left the village. The road was darker than she remembered. Day 7. Unknown location. Her satellite phone, sealed and powered off, turned itself on. 1. New message. Timestamp 3:17 a.m. It began to play, and this time, no one pressed stop. Chapter 5. Playback. Tokyo. Present day. The message was no longer confined to a device. It now lived in airwaves, frequencies, and memory, and once memory took hold, there was no way to delete it. Reina Kobayashi hadn't heard from now in weeks. Not since Emiko's death. Not since that strange message auto-forwarded to her inbox, and then disappeared. She'd clicked it once, just once, no audio, just silence. But that night, she dreamt of Emiko standing outside her window, mouth moving, eyes blank. And in her dream, Reina said the words back. She didn't remember doing it, not until she started hearing Emiko's voice in the rain. Say it back. Day 2, 4:12 p.m. Reina turned off her phone, deleted her apps, switched to analog watches and public payphones. She avoided screens, speakers, and anything that could receive signal, but the voice found her anyway. On a crowded train, she saw her reflection mouthing the phrase in the glass. At home, her television flickered on without power, displayed nothing but static. But behind that static, she swore she could see eyes. She called Now's number. Disconnected. But it rang, and on the 4th ring, she heard Emiko's voice. Not through the speaker, behind her. You heard it. You said it. Reina dropped the phone. When she picked it back up, it was recording. A new voice memo appeared on her home screen, labeled automatically Playback Point 1. She didn't press play. It played itself. I'm here now. Say it back. Day 3, 21:03 a.m. She burned the phone, set it in a pot on her stovetop, turned the heat to max, watched the case melt, the screen blister and blacken. The recording kept playing, without sound, just vibrating in pulses, until the battery finally cracked and hissed. She didn't feel relief, because outside on the street below, dozens of other phones buzzed at once. She looked out her window. People stood still, not moving, just holding their devices to their ears, listening, and, slowly in unison, their mouths moved. Say it back. Day 4, 11:47 a.m. Reina ran. She didn't pack, didn't warn anyone. She left Tokyo behind on the first train headed west, sitting in the quiet car, hands buried in her coat sleeves, shaking. Every time she blinked, she saw Emiko's face. Naughty, The one she remembered, the other one. The version that waited in reflections. With lips cracked open, whispering things Reina no longer wanted to understand. She arrived in Hiroshima that night. No one greeted her. No one followed, but when she entered the ryokan, the concierge handed her a phone. "Someone left this for you," he said. She stared at the device. It buzzed once, then again. 17 a.m. I'm here now. Say it back. Day 5, 3:18. I am Reina. Didn't sleep. She sat on the tatami mat with the phone in front of her untouched. The screen flickered even though the room was dark. No outlets nearby. She wrapped it in towels, shoved it in a drawer, but the voice still came through. Not from the device, from the mirror. She covered it with a blanket, then the window. Still, the voice found her. You remember the silence. It's not yours anymore. She clutched her knees and rocked slowly. Her breath came out in puffs like winter air. In the corner of the room, something stood. It looked like Emiko. But the mouth was wrong. It never closed. Day 6, 2:44. Reina lit every candle she could find in the ryokan's supply closet. She sat surrounded by flame, breathing slow, trying to remind herself of the physical world. Her voice had gone hoarse from refusing to speak. She was afraid even to whisper, because now even thinking the words made her ears ring. I'm here now. The voice no longer sounded like Emiko. It had become deeper, layered, as if hundreds of mouths were speaking in unison from somewhere, just beyond the walls. At 3:17 a.m. sharp, the phone she had buried under floorboards vibrated. Then the television turned on, though she had unplugged it hours ago, static. But beneath it, shadows moved. They leaned forward like listeners, waiting. The mirror cracked, then the window, then something inside her. She gasped and fell back as her own voice echoed through the room, though her mouth had not opened. Say it back. Set me free. Complete it. She screamed, and something screamed back. Day 7, unknown. Time. Reina awoke in silence. No buzzing, no voices. The phone was gone. So was the television, the mirror, even the door to her room. She was sitting on tatami that felt too soft beneath her. The walls were blank, no wood, no windows, just a grey, humming nothing. A screen flickered to life in front of her. Black background, white text, you are the final word. Reina blinked. You remember? You spoke. Now they will hear. The sound began again, static, layered with breathing, laughter, sobbing. Her own voice, Emiko's, hundreds more. Then the message, I'm here now, say it back. The walls pulsed with it. The ceiling dissolved. Above her, infinite reflections of herself, all mouthing the same thing, say it back. And then she did. She whispered the final word, and the world changed. Chapter 6, 7 words. Broadcast, point alpha, unknown, date there. Was no timestamp, no calendar, no sky, just static. Endless, shifting static that shaped itself into rooms, voices, and memories. In the middle of it stood a broadcast tower, assembled from parts of every phone Reina had ever touched, from radios that hadn't existed in decades, from the bones of sound itself, and at its base, a chair, and in the chair, Reina, eyes open, mouth half-parted, speaking, 7 words, over and over. The message had found its host. It no longer needed a signal. It had become one.network saturation event, global nodes. The first known synchronized voicemail event occurred at 3:17 a.m. local time, everywhere. From Tokyo to Toronto, Cape Town to Cairo, phones buzzed. 7-second messages appeared. Some devices were off, some weren't connected. It didn't matter. The message spread through thoughts, through static, through remembrance, and everyone who remembered Reina, who had ever seen her, spoken to her, or watched her live stream, received it. I'm here now. Say it back. Some resisted. Most did not. Aftermath. Silence breach. Report hospitals flooded with patients claiming to hear voices even when sedated. Therapists reported collective hallucinations. Children began speaking the 7 words in their sleep. Old radios turned themselves on, unplugged devices vibrated, static became a carrier, and in every shadow the shape of a woman with half-parted lips waited. Spoken, remembered, broadcast. Reina was everywhere now. She was the 7th word. The last listener in a soundproof bunker buried beneath miles of concrete. A man sat alone. No phone, no speakers, no electricity. He had lived off paper and candlelight for 7 years. His name was Hideo Maruoka. He was once a technician who studied anomalous frequency bleed in ghost towns. He knew this was coming. He had read Rika Aso's reports, seen the waveform. He thought he could survive it. He was wrong. That night at 3:17 a.m., he dreamed of a voice with no mouth. And when he awoke, his breath formed words before he could stop them. I'm here now. Say it back. And somewhere, far above, the static smiled. Years later, a child sat in the back of a classroom as the power went out. The other students whispered and giggled while the teacher searched for her flashlight. In the flicker of emergency lights, a radio from the janitor's closet crackled to life. No station, no music, just static, and then a soft voice. I'm here now. The child froze, turned slowly toward the sound, smiled, and whispered something back. 7 words. No one heard them clearly, but the lights never came back on, and the teacher never stopped, staring at the wall. If this story echoed in your thoughts, if the static lingered a little too long, don't keep it to yourself. Share this story with someone you know. Subscribe to Crazy Real Horror Stories for more unsettling tales that may or may not let you sleep at night. And remember, if you ever hear the words, I'm here now, whatever you do, don't say it back.